Greetings, people of Earth. Welcome back. My name is Jax. That is Lily. She's just had her breakfast. But today we are talking about being in love. Yes, so I have been in romantic love, I think 3 times in my life. And Lily is in it right now, apparently. What? She's just had her breakfast and now she's watching Julia eat her breakfast on the deck. See this dog right here. What? You crazy shaggy dog. Anyway, I think I have been in love three times romantically. Obviously, I'm in love with dogs. This ridiculous one, and my family and my friends, and many experiences like that. But I think it's different for different people, and I think love is quite different depending on the person. My first love, you can have Lily in the background. My first love was so new. Everything was so new, obviously it was my first serious relationship. I'm really happy that like my first kiss and my first real relationship like that was a long relationship. Like it lasted almost 2 years, and I learned an awful lot about what it means to be a couple and together and to love somebody. And I think I also learned that I love unconditionally, which is interesting, regardless of anything that the other person says or does. I still have this sort of compassion and love and care no matter what. And although that relationship ended, it was very special, and I look back on that time as a very special time. I was in university. It was sort of my first time out on my own, and yeah, it was just a big learning experience. And I don't know if everybody's first love is a learning experience like that, but mine definitely was a good education in sort of what to expect. And I have to say, when it all ended, and it ended for a myriad of reasons, it was very difficult to get over. It was very, I had never understood like all of those songs about losing someone you love, or saying goodbye or getting over it. And I began to understand that with a vengeance. I started to understand things that I had never truly processed before. So it was a very interesting experience. The second time I fell in love, it felt a lot more mature. It was a lot more responsible. There was this feeling of comfort and safety. And even looking back on the second time, it was such a good experience because there was a lot more stability. It wasn't like your typical first love. It had a completely different essence to it, and I felt quite different. And so that was a real education. And the third time totally knocked me like a set of bowling pins. The third one was sort of undescribable and ridiculous, and it was so, I don't know, it was just otherworldly. It's just one of those things where you meet somebody and you just can't quite wrap your head around feeling the way you feel and falling for someone the way you fall. And it truly was like a falling in love sort of thing. It was like there were moments where I just, whoa, what is going on? What is happening to me? And I think that is pretty, I don't know if it's unique, but it was certainly new to me. And I have to be a bit honest, it was totally unlike the first two. And I don't want to compare because I think I was 100% in love in each case, in each situation. Um, but there was just something unusual about the third one. And even now, I can't quite wrap my head around it or why or, how it all works. So it's been a weird one, honestly. But anyway, the reason I wanted to sort of talk about love and go through it is because I don't think people distinguish love enough. Um, you can tell a lot about a culture by how they describe falling in love and all of the language about it. Like in English, we fall in love. It's something that sort of happens unexpectedly, and love at first sight, the idea of just seeing someone and, oh my gosh, I'm in love. Whereas a lot of other languages and cultures don't use that language, and they don't talk about it that way. In Norwegian, saying that you love another person, that takes a long time. That can take years. In Norwegian, you say "Jeg elsker deg," I love you, and that is something that you would only really say to, your children, your parents, like people that you truly, truly love. I think it's changing a little bit with Western media and things like that, but typically you would not say "Jeg elsker deg" to just like a boyfriend or something. You might now because the culture has sort of changed, and watching American movies has sort of changed Norwegians' turns of phrase and that sort of thing. But in certain languages, the idea of "I love you" is quite a special or a unique situation, and it's only said in certain circumstances. But here we talk about like, I love pizza, I love this, I love that. And in other languages, they make a distinction between, oh, I really like this thing, but I love her or him or my children or whatever. Whereas here, love has become sort of synonymous with just liking things. And I think that's a bit annoying, and it's a bit sad. And other languages sort of make fun of English for this and sort of tease and poke fun at it, because obviously it's just something that English does that other languages don't do. And love is one of those concepts that is kind of trying to pin it down to a few different things, like the love of your children, the love of pineapple on pizza, the love of your life. It can be difficult and a little bit confusing. I'm just gonna let Julia in. Let one in, let the other out. Hi, Jules. You come here? You're too far away. Anyway, okay, now this one's on this side. And she's gone. Anyway, here we go. Sorry, this has been a bit of this is like a vlog. This isn't a proper video. This is just vlog of Jack's morning with the dogs. Anyway, yeah, I wanted to talk about the different kinds of love because I have been fortunate to be in love 3 different times, and they've all felt completely different, and they've all snuck up on me. I didn't expect to fall in love with any of these people, and yet I did, and we had long-term relationships. Each one of these relationships was over the course of 2 years, which is interesting in itself. But, it's one of those things that's really fun. I really enjoy it. I think a lot of people close their hearts and their minds to the idea of falling in love, which is a shame because every aspect of it was really fun to me. I mean, falling in love with somebody, their idiosyncrasies, their the history, what they've gone through, how they show love, how they show affection, what they find funny, what they don't, what they enjoy to watch, how you spend time together, meeting the parents and the siblings. I always love that. And, it's always so interesting to meet people and that are connected to somebody you love, going on little vacations or trips, exploring, making plans. There's all kinds of things like that I think are really exciting. And I don't know, I feel like sometimes people fall in love once and then they tell themselves that they're never going to do it again and they never want to. And I think that's a real shame, because yes, it sucks when things don't work out or people change, or the search situation just doesn't quite fit properly. But at the same time, it is so worth it for the experience. I often think, my grandmother once said, "We are on this planet for such a short amount of time, might as well be happy." And while that's much easier said than done, it's a goal to be striving for. And I like the idea of, we are on this planet for such a short amount of time, might as well experience and live. And even feeling incredibly sad and upset and, experiencing that is a human emotion. And those emotions are unique. And to be able to experience that is still fascinating. And although it might not feel great in the moment, when you look back and you get to sort of experience it or think about it, it gives you pause and it gives you a reference for when you're feeling happy or when you're feeling a better emotion or joy. And emotions are kind of fleeting as well. I mean, there are moments when you get so angry or you're so sad, or you're given some bad news or some good news or whatever. And those emotions are very surface level. And then you have sort of the primary feelings that you feel, and sort of like the ocean of who you are. And emotions are just that surface level of what you're feeling in that moment, which doesn't define who you are in this vast ocean. And I think experiencing each of these emotions is important, and these feelings, and it does change you. I feel like falling in love has made me more compassionate, more understanding, maybe a bit funnier, because you go through a bit of difficulty and those sorts of things. But I wanted to recommend it to anybody. And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes, I talk about the struggles of dating and trying to get on in this world and find your own way. But I don't think you want to be really cynical about anything. In all honesty, I think cynicism is a bit overrated, and to be skeptical and, to poke holes in things all the time. It doesn't do anybody any good just to be sort of skeptical and sort of, upset about specific things. If you can't change it, it might be time to move on. And I think Taoism is very useful in that regard, where, the universe will go on just fine without us. And you have to get through it. You just have to move through whatever you're going through and, take a few pictures and remember it. And hopefully, at the worst, it's a funny story, and at the best, it's an amazing adventure. So that's all I wanted to say. I know this video has been very sort of rambly and difficult, but blame the dogs, not me. And thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think. What do you think about falling in love? I'm lucky that I've never had to experience sort of a tragic love where I've lost somebody in the process of falling in love with them or anything, but maybe that's one experience that I don't necessarily want to experience. Who knows? But yeah, let me know what you think about love, falling in love, relationships. If you're someone who is older and you have experienced sort of love and all of those things, what is your wisdom? What is your advice for somebody who's maybe never fallen in love? I think that would be really interesting. And if you're someone who's never fallen in love, what do you think it's going to be like? You know, are you curious? Are you frightened by it? You know, what is your opinion on it? So anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening to the rambles and the dogs being their silly selves. I think Julia will probably want to go outside in a second. But as always, guys, I will see you later. I will talk to you tomorrow, and have a beautiful one.